Hello darts fans, it's that time again. It's time to go down a random park and get some tips for the Premier League darts this week. There are three things you get in this park. 1, darts tips for the Premier League. 2, squirrels. And 3, random blokes staring at you while they rifle through the bins. All three of them entertaining in their own way. Only one of them will make you fear for your personal safety, but that is why you should never mess with squirrels. Now on to the darts tips. It is Cardiff this week and it is a potentially decisive night in the Premier League. The biggest game we've seen in this year's tournament is the top two in the table. Michael van Gerwen and Rob Cross go head to head. MVG looking to win the league stage, as he does every single year, and as I kind of tipped him to do at the start of this campaign, although it's not that big a shout, but Rob Cross can deny him. It is out of MVG's hands if Cross gets at least a draw. We're going to come to Thursday night's action in a moment. Just rewind to last week when we were in Liverpool, because it looked again like we were on for a really good night. We started by saying that Cross would beat Peter Wright at 5-6. That came in. We said that Gerwin Price would continue his domination of Mensur Suljovic. That happened at 5-4 as well. James Wade and Daryl Gurney. Well, look, we backed James Wade because he's been in incredible form for a little while now, and he won 2 more titles at the weekend, but he only came away from that draw with Superchin with a point. And look, Gurney was excellent. Wade found a way to get a result, even though it wasn't the one we wanted. And the final game of the night, we said Michael Smith would beat MVG if you gave him a 3.5 leg handicap. Now he's beaten 8-3, so that didn't come in, but 3 of those legs he lost, missing a total of 12 darts at double, all at the start of the match as well. It could have been very, very different if Michael Smith had just been able to get over the line in a couple of those legs. We weren't that far away last week. Let's see if we can get closer this time around, and let's focus on that MVG Cross game, because I think it's going to be a cracker. They are throwing fantastically. Even Van Gerwen admits that Rob Cross is playing brilliant darts right now, and you can't really argue with it. He wasn't even 100% last week, and he still went and averaged almost 105 for large portions of the game, as he beat Peter Wright. He'd beaten Daryl Gurney the week before in his home country of Belfast. I really think that he can have a good go at Michael van Gerwen, but I just find it so hard to bet against MVG. And when you look at the odds of Bet365, 8-15 for Van Gerwen, 10-3 for Cross, it's not enough to make me plump for either of them. I do think that Van Gerwen might just nick it, but why don't you look at a different bet for that game? Why not look at the 180s? Now, Cross is hitting more than Van Gerwen. He's hitting loads in general. I think he's going to hit a barrel load against Van Gerwen, because I think this game is going to go long. It wouldn't surprise me if we see 13-14 legs in this game, and I think that Cross is going to beat the mark of 3.5 180s in that match on his own. So Cross to hit more than 3.5 180s is 5-6, but the one I really like, I think he's going to hit more than Van Gerwen, which gets your odds up even more. He's going to hit more 180s than MVG in that game. You can get 6-5 for that. You can plump for that bet, then it doesn't matter which way this very tight game goes. I know that Van Gerwen did batter Cross when they met in the Premier League earlier on this year, but Cross admits he was trying too hard. All he's got to go and do is do what he's been doing in every other week in the Premier League. Relax, and the superb darts will come. I say he's going to hit more 180s than Michael van Gerwen, although I don't quite know how that game is going to pan out in terms of the result. We start the night with Mensur Suljovic against Daryl Gurney. Now, there are 4 players on 12 points in the Premier League, all perched just behind those top 2, vying for spots in the playoffs. I said at the start of the year that Daryl Gurney was a great each-way bet for the title. He can go on and make the playoffs. I still think that that's a good one. And at 6-5 to beat Mensur, who is probably playing the lowest standard of those 4 guys on 12 points, who's 6-4 himself, I think that Daryl Gurney's a sensible bet. He's got a better head-to-head record than Mensur. Even when he's lost in the last few weeks, he's been throwing high 90s averages. I think that Daryl Gurney can start the night by beating Mensur Suljovic and really staking claim for a spot in the top 4 for the first time in his career. Then the Cross MVG game, as I've said, I say back Cross on the 180s, but maybe just stay away from the result, because I genuinely don't know how that's going to pan out. Michael Smith and Gerwin Price. This is another tough one to call. Now, Michael Smith at the weekend, he made a final, he made a semi-final, he made a final the weekend before, all of these on the tour, and James Wade is pretty much the only man who is beating him. He just keeps running into this wadey wall that he cannot get over. But everybody else, he's finding ways to win, at least on the tour. The Premier League has not gone well. He believes his chances of making the playoffs are gone. He said that he needed to beat Van Gerwen and win the rest of his games in the tournament. I'm not so sure, you know. I think that he can find a way to get into the playoffs, but he has to win every single game, and that might come to an end against Gerwyn Price, the Grand Slam champion, who's in that little bracket of 4 players on 12 points. Price is 6-4, Michael Smith is 6-5. Again, I'm tempted by Price because the slightly longer odds at least give you a little bit of value in what I think is a very tight game. I'm reluctant to back draws in the extended format that we're seeing in this second phase of the league, just because I think they are much less likely to actually happen. So again, I'm going to look for a different bet in this one, which I think is a close one. I'm going to look at the game going long. You can get over 12.5 legs at 8-15. So it's 8-5 either way, 8-6 either way, or we get a draw, then that bet is going to come in. It doesn't matter which way it goes, and I think that's the place you've got to look in this match. I was tempted by the 180 count because these two are hitting more than anybody else in the league, but I just think go long in this game. I can see this ending up 8-6 one way or another, a bit like the Cross Van Gerwen game. That'll bring us to the final game of the night. Peter Snakebite Wright against James Wade. Now, Peter Wright is in a similar position to Michael Smith. I think he's probably going to have to win all his remaining games. It was a bit of a return to form from him. Played some really good stuff last week against Rob Cross, but he did not get the win because voltage is just too hot to handle right now. But James Wade has won 3 titles, incredibly, in 9 days on the tour. He has been playing magnificently. He's beaten Michael Smith in all 3 of those runs, once in the semis and 2 in the final. He just looks very confident, he looks relaxed, and he is throwing some big averages as well. Yes, there are some 94s and 90s in there, but there are 109s in there, 110s. There is some top quality stuff, and we've seen bits of that in this Premier League campaign from James Wade, a man who has whitewashed Daryl Gurney, one of his rivals in that 12-point chasing pack. You can get 13-10 for both of these guys. I do not know why James Wade is the same odds as Peter Wright to win this game. When you look at the form, there is only one winner. You have to look at James Wade to win that final game of the night, and really it could well be Daryl Gurney and James Wade putting a little bit of a distance between themselves and the rest of the chasing pack in the race for the playoffs. So I say, if you're going to put it in an ACCA, start the night with Daryl Gurney at 6-5, then you back Rob Cross to hit more 180s than Michael Van Gerwen at 6-5. You've got Michael Smith versus Gerwyn Price. I say that game goes longer than 12.5 legs at 8-15, and James Wade, you have to back him at 13-10 against Peter Snakebite Wright. You put all that in an ACCA, you're looking at 15-1. We have made one. That was a 25-1 shot. We have come so close in a number of weeks to landing another ACCA. This week, I think it's going to happen. I don't know who's going to be top of the table. I genuinely think it is up in the air, but I do believe that James Wade and Daryl Gurney are going to continue their hunt for spots 3 and 4 in the Premier League in Cardiff, and that might well be our 0-2 lineup for the playoffs.